Just open people's eyes about what can happen, and if it doesn't happen to you, it's just showing how lucky you are, but if it does, it's just showing you what you can do to get out of it.
Boys are violent, girls are bitchy.
Girls tend to lash out more than boys, but boys just go and have a real good fight.
And they go for slaps and rather than punches and things.
I think that some men, through frustration, through lack of achievement, for whatever reason, that's the nearest thing they can take it out of. It's a power thing, isn't it? They come home from work they haven't achieved, or they feel a bit frustrated, bang, the woman is there to take it out of it.
It works both ways. I don't think women should hit men or men should hit women.
I think men find it more difficult to talk about their feelings, talk about their vulnerabilities. Women quite often have quite a network of friends and can talk about things, but men find it more difficult, and so they get frustrated and they get angry. And I think that people are quite often violent because they're afraid of losing control, and this very fear brings about them losing control.
It would be nice to have a girl who could look nice and act nice, you know, but it's not everything, is it?
A girl look nice, blonde hair.
It's not something you can say, oh, what do you want to be when you get married? It's just something you want to do, isn't it, at a particular time.
But I'm not going to get married anyway.
I don't want to yet.
But I'm not going to get married because
Yes,
I have to give them money and I don't do cool.
No, if a man goes out and works all day and the woman...
And you expect to come home with dinner on the table, nice clean house, all dishes away, what can you expect?
Yeah, that's they're working it, they're getting money off us because we like...
Yeah, they get everything off as well, they get pleasure.
You pay them in kind.
I reckon women got asbestos hands anyway. I really do. Well, she never like takes stuff out of the other button, just chink.
They care about hygiene more than boys, don't they?
Yeah.
They think everything should be spick and span.
I would got an ugly girl.
Just a shag them.
No, because if you got an ugly girl, nobody can take her off you. Take her off you, can they?
No, it depends how much they love you, isn't it? You don't look at their face if they're pretty or ugly, you just...
Can do it. Well, I've slept with 2 girls, so...
I've hit a woman.
No, I
My girlfriend. Only because she likes it.
Married women have more stress and single women don't have as much stress. That's why women go great faster. Just in generations, the fathers always gone out to work for a living.
Girls have dolls and boys have cars and...
action men there, and girls have Barbies. It's just always been like that, all it.
Do you think generally women and men are equal?
No. Because men, they think, oh, they're the hard guys, you know, they can look after themselves.
They've got a bigger ego.
Yeah, got a bigger head than women. That's what it's always been like. The man's always been the boss.
Because men are always sort of seem to be more powerful, really, aren't they?
Well, traditionally they're the people who've gone out to work, earned the money, had that control in the family. I think they've been allowed to have power over women for so long. I think we still haven't changed that.
He wanted to be with her forever, but he could not swim. He pleaded with her to come and live with him. She said yes, but won't. Hit me 3 times and I'll go back to the sea, and you'll never ever be able to be with me. So they kissed and their fin turned to legs. For a while, their house was full of love.
After some months in a temper and irate, he hit her across the face because his dinner was late. She stood up and reminded him of his fate. Remember, if you hit me twice more, I will go and not hesitate.
A few more months went by before he pushed her down the stairs. She told him to contemplate in his mental despair, crying and sniffling into his sleeve, "One more strike and I leave you to grieve."
A long time went by before she cried again,
His belt was vicious, drawing blood and pain. She cried out, "No more violence," to my name. "Your time is up, I am leaving you with your shame. Alone and miserable you'll forever be, while I'll be swimming in the ocean free."
What starts most rows?
Oh, money, issues about control, and I think the feeling that you're not being heard and you're not appreciated, and just you're not a person, I suppose. You're not being treated like a person. I think that causes a lot of problems.
You normally find that it's systematic abuse, and probably bullying, you could say that was systematic as well.
Say it again.
Pathetic little boy.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah, and it's pathetic.
I don't give a shit what it is, alright? I say it the way I want to say it.
Oof.
Not the way you want to say it.
I'm big. I'm fat.
Simon, hang on, Simon. Even though I was on camera, I was getting really frustrated and angry with them. Why do you come on to me all the time, man? Exactly. Oh, I just feel like saying stuff I shouldn't and it, Yes, you do that. Very trying to act hard at it.
When the buddy goes away, I ask the person if they're okay, I don't say something to the buddy because just in case they start on me.
Oh, I could see.
Cheapo! Cover yourself up, woman. You turn my stomach.
I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean.
Perhaps I should put you out to work. Let me laze about the house instead. All you do is talk to that herring brain mother of yours and watch bloody Richard and Judy.
You would probably lose all confidence completely if you're proud of something, if you're good at something, and you get your heart set on it, and people are just making fun of it and crushing your dreams or whatever.
It isn't just hitting, actually, that domestic abuse is about. It's calling names and withholding money or controlling a person, what they're allowed to do, what they're allowed to see. So all of those things.
When your mother's not here, you're on the bastard phone to her. When are you going to cut those friggin' apron strings? 150 bloody quid last quarter.
How do you calm somebody down when they are angry?
This is quite a difficult one, but I think you need to acknowledge that they're angry. I think sometimes you either stand up to it, you run away from it, but you don't actually acknowledge it. And sometimes just saying to somebody, I can see that you're very angry, and this has the effect of diffusing the situation.
For God's sake, stop snivelling, woman.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry.
But I don't think arguments need to be destructive. I think they can be constructive, helpful and useful to help understand what the other person is feeling, as long as it's not a shouting match. And as long as people are listening, I think that's the important thing in an argument, as long as you listen to the other side and they're not just shouting what your side of the argument is.
What are you talking to her for?
Conversation.
About what? If you went out with somebody like that, right, and you love them, and you're not jealous of them, you obviously don't love them, do you? What can I miss? Right?
Does it mean, if you're going out with someone, that they can't talk to anybody else of the opposite sex?
What are you talking to her for?
You say if they're talking to them for over 10 minutes and they're smiling and they're looking happy, is that cause to be violent?
You'll be on the clip as well, right?
I don't think it's the way to solve things, but with sometimes there's no other way to solve it. In their head at the time, they've got to do something about it, and their head is so mixed up they've got nothing else to do but swing a punch.
So some people deal with jealousy in different ways.
If you really loved her and you trusted her, you wouldn't even bother getting jealous.
I was 16 in the first violent relationship, and both, I would say, was down to jealousy and warranted jealousy. They seemed to have this thing that no matter who I spoke to or who I was with, there was always a reason for hitting me at the end of it. But every time it happened, it was a case of they were sorry, it was never going to happen again. And I got pregnant. And during my pregnancy, the violence continued. I would have to watch with going shopping how much money I spent, because that would mean an item at the end of the day. if I spent too much. If I wanted to go out to meet a friend, that was another reason for an hide-in at the end of that. He would lock me in cupboards while he went out, and I'd be in the cupboard for 3 to 4 hours at a time, waiting for him to come home, too frightened to actually get out, because I knew that would be another row. Threw me up and down stairs. That was the strangest part as well, never any bruises to see. I was kicked and punched, and the only time I did have a cut on me was that one time the door had slammed shut, and he said I had locked him out, which it hadn't been the case at all, but he said, so how would I got in? I said, well, you could have used the window. You would have had to put your hand through the window. And he caught my hand and put my hand straight through the window, so to prove that that's how that went. Never told my parents. I always went to a friend. I didn't want to worry them. Didn't want to burden them with it all, because they had said that I was young in this relationship, that I didn't want they didn't want me to have the pregnancy and things. It was a nightmare. It was like living with somebody. It was like Jekyll and Hyde. A lot to do with drink. He'd be the nicest person you could wish to meet without a drink, and then when he'd had a drink, his personality would change completely. I still live it. I won't quarrel with people. I like to keep the peace at all costs, because I'm always worried that it will erupt into something that I don't want again. I tend to let people bully me because I want to say no a lot of the time. But I think, oh, what is that going to lead to now? It could lead to another situation. He hit me before we got married. And of course it was a case of, oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. And he was ever so sorry at the end of the day. I mean, he was always begging and pleading that he would never do it again. But he always did. He had this obsession that we could go out as a group, all couples, and if I should be chatting to another member of that group, a male, it would be fine when we were out, but I'd suffer for it when we got in. I couldn't have a milkman call in. I couldn't have a paper boy call in, because they would actually knock the door to ask for money at the end of the week in this business. I was living on my own in Bracklow with Dean and Gemma, and he was away working. And his brother used to call up to see if we were all right. Then he didn't come for a couple of weeks, and I asked him why, when I bumped into him. And he said, because I've been told not to. He doesn't want me at the house. I was bathing Gemma or something, and he would ring and say, I would leave the phone ring, because I'd have her in the bath and things, and I'd eventually answer the phone. And it was like somebody talking to somebody who was demented then. Where have you been, who are you with, who's there, and all this. You know? I said, nobody, I was just saying to the baby, there's nobody here, there's nothing going on and all this business. And then he would actually drive home then from London, give me an hide-in, and drive back to be in London by next morning for work. Nobody would even know that he'd been here, except me. I ended up going to the battered wives' home in Birmingham. It was wonderful. I only stayed a week, but it was wonderful because it was peace of mind. I went home because of the 2 children. And the worry about where I was going to go and what was going to happen to us. When I first mentioned about having a divorce, he took my chequebook off me, my Visa card, everything. Every bit of money I had, he took off me. And he said, he was still working away. He said, you'll write a list now every Saturday when I come home what shopping you need, and I'll go and get it. But he said, you're not leaving you with no money. I had no money for petrol for my car, anything. Mental abuse, you're ugly. Nobody will want you, nobody will care about you. You're worthless, all of that. And then eventually I couldn't take it any longer, so I found a flat in Aberkenfig. It was £50 a week. Housing Benefit at the time told me that they would pay the £50 rent, which left me with £2 a week to live on, with 2 children. So I took it anyway. But then my parents then helped, because I moved out, and they knew then why I was moving out. And they helped. If it hadn't been for them, I couldn't have survived, because I've never had any maintenance. And his father would come to me and say, oh, look, he's ever so sorry, he's up the house now, he's breaking his heart that he's done it. I said, yeah, but he'll stand over my grave one day, and he'll still be just as upset. I stayed a lot of the time for the children, thinking, because where am I going to go with 2 children? But eventually it was them who made me think, oh, I have to go. I often thought, why me? I thought about suicide. One point when I had no money, nowhere to go, all of this. The only thing I've ever wanted to do is ask him, actually have him to be honest with me and say why.
I think she was brave. For someone to come on camera and tell him what kind of life she've had, I think it made people realise that it will destroy your life. So if you can get out straight away.
I think the first time you get hit is probably the best time to leave, because if he can do it once, he can do it again. There's no change in a person who's a bully. There's no, that's just the way they are. The only way they could probably come out of that is by counselling, and some men are too stubborn to do it.
I mean, I've been in a bad relationships in the past, like, I get a fat SLAG and all this, and that's what I had off him, off one of the boys I've been with. And it makes you think, like, oh, you're ugly, and, you just put yourself down and, like,
You're out too big.
Don't shout, the children will hear.
Don't you tell me what I can and can't do in my own house. I work my guts out to keep this roof over your head, and all I get is back chat.
I could get a job if you'd let me.
Oh yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? Flaunting yourself down one of those.
I think quite often people are violent because someone's been violent towards them. I think hurt people, and it's a cycle, and it needs to be broken.
If people have been hurt, where would they want other people to be hurt?
Seeing violence, and I think that is the only way to behave. And also society is an equal balance of power.
We've all got aggressive streaks, and we all do lash out sometimes, but there is no real reason at all. I mean, we shouldn't hit each other. There are other ways, but we just haven't learned them yet.
It's very damaging, not just on the partner, but on the children who see witness abuse.
You can cure it or help it. There's anger classes and all sorts of things. And if you're only violent after drink, then don't drink.
What does she do all day?
A lot of abuse happens and there's no drugs or alcohol. Just like a lot of people who take drugs and alcohol don't hit a woman or shout at a woman. Maybe they're triggers, but they're not causes.
I think we tend to think that it's more the man who beats the woman, but women do beat men as well. But they're just too embarrassed to come forward and say so. A lot of women are afraid to leave. They're afraid they'll have another hiding if they do leave. I've dealt with people who've left the area and come to this area and have lived in fear because they've been afraid that the man will find them. And they think they've got nowhere to go, they think they've got no money, and there's a lot of help out there for them. But people are afraid to go and look for it. They don't know it's there.
The first things we do is try and get the person who's responsible for it away. Sometimes, obviously, take them down to the police station. For instance, like you said, under alcohol, yeah? They may have to go and spend the night in custody with us. It's to give time, really, and to give space and to give breathing. And then the main concern there would be with the victim, what they want. Part of the healing, if you are a victim, is to do something about it.
What could I do? What would I do with 2 kids and no money coming in?
All I'm saying is that you have choices.
We'll find out what she wants first of all. Just find out if she wants refuge space. If she did, we'd either put her in one of our refuges or find another place for her. Ask what other difficulties she had. She needed benefits, money, solicitor, police. Put her in touch with other agencies. What else do we do?
Yeah. Well, we give her space to sort of talk, and sometimes we take the children, won't we? If the woman to have a bit of space, take the children.
And believe her story as well, because often women haven't been believed about abuse before.
Everything in victim support is confidential, unless you were a child and I thought you were in danger. But I would tell you in the very, very beginning that if you tell me your name and you tell me this is happening, then I will have to tell somebody else. We don't say, oh, you've gone back, you've asked for it or anything like that. Nobody asks for it. And there is no reason they can't ask for help again and again and again.
You don't believe how careless she can be? Come on, Tessie, let's get back to the kids.
And we can't actually counsel people where there is actually violence going on. They have to accept that there can be no violence going on in a relationship. Otherwise, if they're not safe, they're not safe to say what they really think, and that's what part of counselling is about, is saying what you really think.
I've slapped it a couple of times, lost me temper, you know how it is. We all lose our tempers sometimes. Yeah, we don't all slap.
I talk through their difficulties with them and try and understand why they're having these difficulties. Sometimes it involves looking back at various things that have happened in the relationships, you know, things like having children and that sort of things. These sort of things will really affect a relationship. And sometimes it involves looking back at their childhood as well, because how their mum and dad interact has an effect on how they will interact with their partner. Through getting some understanding about why things are happening and some understanding about their partner, we then try and look at how they can make changes. We work through with them what changes they want rather than what changes we think they should make.
No child, man or woman, should have to live in a violent relationship.
I could make you see, why don't you stop your stupid jealousy? If there is no trust, it all goes bust. You have no control because you're ruled by less. Try to keep a hold of me just like a possession. You want to rule my life, and that's your obsession. Your power mad, you're off your head. If you don't stop, I could end up dead. You leave marks all over me, only I can see. Destroyed my dignity, will I ever be free? Your power mad, you're off your head. If you don't stop, I could end up dead. Leave me all alone.
I do it for your own good. I know I should. Put bruises on your face to put you in your place. I do it because you cheat on me. I know you do. Well, I haven't seen you, but it's obvious you do.
You've got more boyfriends and girlfriends, and her friends are poisoner and my making out that I'm hurting. But I'm the one who's working, clothing you, feeding you, that gives me the privilege to keep on beating.
You're facing the consequences of disobeying me. You try disgracing me and act like you're hating me. And if you even think of the word divorce, you'll be no support. Just violence before it gets to court.
You have another fit, I have to take another hit. See you gain from my pain, will you quit? You think you have the power, relationship sour. The love you once had is getting weaker by the hour. Your insecurity draws you close to insanity. So why don't you leave and stop hurting me? So why don't you leave and stop hurting me? Why don't you leave me all alone? 'Cause I can't take it anymore. You're coming in for work and you keep laying down the law. Leave me all alone, 'cause I can't take it anymore. Coming in for work and you keep laying down the law.
Am I happy now? Yes, I'm happy now. Because Graham is a totally different character altogether. He can't appall any violence in any shape or form, and the fact, I think, if he actually did hit me, he'd cut his arm off. It would grieve him so much that he couldn't tolerate it.
Do you think that people can stay together forever?
Yes, I do. I think if you can respect the other person, accept that there are differences, agree to differ on occasions, you're not going to agree on absolutely everything, then you can have a close, loving relationship the whole of your life, if that's what you want.
Someone good looking and someone you can trust, innit?
Love, money and friendship.
Nice personality, non-violent.
Trust, caring and friendship.
You have to learn to be happy with yourself before you can even think of being in a relationship with somebody else, isn't it? That's why I think it's always good to live on your own and enjoy your own company and doing things for yourself.
But years of gin had broken him and left him cold. Cisco has packed and gone away.